If you actually want to become a millionaire, you have to understand these 4 key principles. These are 4 principles that I wish somebody shared with me years ago, but once I understood them over the last year, my income 10x, and I started making multiple 7 figures every single year. And what I want to do is make sure that today you get an opportunity to learn these principles so that you don't have to wait for something to fall out of the skies like I did in order to help set you on the right track to making 7 figures a year. What's up, guys? It's Mike Sherrard. Welcome back to my channel, and I'm super excited to talk to you about this subject right here, which is how to drastically increase your income and change your life just like I've done over the last year, where I went from making $10,000, $20,000 a month to $200,000, $300,000 a month, and now making multiple 7 figures a year. These 4 key principles are the things that made the biggest difference for me, and I want to make sure that you have access to them today. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Now, the first principle is something that is very important, but is probably going to offend and trigger a lot of the softer entrepreneurs that just think they're these grinders that can crush it every single day, do 120%, posting this on all their social media, their Instagram stories, that they're going 150% 7 days a week. I'm here to tell you, it's impossible. What you'll see is that the entrepreneurs that are making 7 figures a year, multiple 7 figures, 8 figures a year, like a lot of my network is that they're putting in 75% a day every single day for a long period of time. Whereas the ones that are trying to do 100% of the day get burnt out very quickly, because what you'll see is that 75% or 80% or whatever the capacity looks like, that over a long period of time is going to not only yield much greater results than 100% of your effort for a short period of time, where you're doing years of work over here and months of work over here, but it's also more sustainable because you're not going to burn out. I've tried it before. I've tried to go 100, 110% every single day, 7 days a week. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You are going to burn out after a matter of months. You're not going to be as productive, and just because you're putting in 18, 20 hours a day in work, it doesn't mean you're being highly effective for 18 or 20 hours a day doing your work. And let me explain the principle of this, is that when you give yourself an allotted period of time, you're inherently likely to fill that period of time. And if you shrink it, you will get the same amount of work done in a shorter period of time. So if you're in high school, university, and somebody gives you a test and they say you've got 3 hours to finish that test, usually you'll finish around 2.5, 3 hours on that test. Whereas if they gave you the same test and said finish it in an hour, you're going to get it done in an hour, whether it be a test, assignment, exam, or whatever. And a lot of people in business fall victim to the same thing, where they think that because they're putting in endless amounts of time, time doesn't equal income. Value equals income. Impact equals income. So just because you're putting in your time in to convince yourself you're putting in 100% of your effort every day, it doesn't mean that the income is actually going to reflect and correlate to the time that you're putting in. So try and have a significant amount of intensity and drive and passion about what you're doing, but do what you can with the time that you have and try and cram things into shorter windows instead of spreading it out over a day. And again, I can tell you from experience that being consistent with 75% effort over years is going to yield much bigger results than being 100% all in for only a few months. Number 2 is the notion of blissful dissatisfaction. So let me explain this one to you, which is entrepreneurs tend to never be happy. They're never happy with where they are. They always want to do more, buy more, get a new car, get new clothes, get a new watch. They're constantly trying to do more with things, with their business, with life, with people, with everything. And that's not a bad thing. That's what keeps us going and keeps us building and hungry to continue to level up to the next level. But the notion of blissful dissatisfaction is to be happy where you are now, to be blissful where you are now, but be dissatisfied with where you are at the same time. And what I mean by that is, if you're not happy right now, you're going to hate your life. And just because you're not where you want to be, you're not making 7 figures a year, or driving the car you want, or whatever, doesn't mean you should not be happy. You should be happy, but you should be craving more and understanding your potential, knowing that you have more to achieve. So what you need to do along this journey is to find ways to be happy with where you are at this point in time, but to be always craving more just based on you wanting to prove yourself and to achieve what you believe is possible. But if you're constantly saying that I'm going to be happy when I get the Lamborghini, I'm going to be happy when I get the Audemars Piguet, I'm going to be happy when I get the whatever, the penthouse or anything else, you're never going to be happy, because when you get the Huracan, there's the Aventador. When you get the Aventador, there's a Bugatti. When you get the Audemars, there's a Patek. It never ends. There's always going to be more. And if you don't find ways to be happy with what you actually have at this point in time, but to continue to simultaneously push yourself to that next level, you're never going to get past the plateau that you're currently at. Now, the third thing is a really interesting one, which is being a goal grinder, not a lifetime grinder. Let me explain this to you. A lot of people are goal grinders. They have a specific goal and they grind their butt off until they get there, and then they stop. And they say, well, I want to hit 6 figures a year, and then they kind of hit 6 figures a year, and then they do 6 figures for the next 10 years. Or I want to break $500,000, or I want to do $1 million, and they get there, and then they kind of just plateau, where they get the car, and then they think because they've got the car now that they just start slacking off. And there's a difference between putting in some time and putting in the time. And what I mean by that is, you see all these entrepreneurs that are saying that I've put in 2 years of work, or I've put in 3 years of work, and I'm not where I want to be. Yeah, you've put in some time, you've achieved some goals, but you haven't put in the time that it actually takes in order to get to the point where you want your business to be. Because what you'll notice is the people that are at the 7, 8, 9 figure level are the people that are grinding for their whole life. It might not be in the trench work, but they're still trying to do new innovations, new systems, new processes, new ambitions, investing into new startups all the time, to the day that they die. They are lifetime grinders. They're not just hitting a goal and becoming complacent with where they've got. These are lifetime grinders. They are putting in the time it takes, not some time that they think that they're just obligated to achieve success after they put in this quota that's fictitiously made up of thin air, that if they put in this amount of time, then why wouldn't they be wealthy? Why wouldn't they be successful? You have to put in that time, and that time is as much time as it takes until you see that money show up in your bank account. The fourth one is the biggest game-changing one, and this is something that's going to be a massive spin and additional context on something that you've likely heard of before, which is being a diamond. We all understand that we want to be the diamond in the rough. We want to be the shiny, hard object that is worth a lot of money. Just inherently, using a metaphor, we all want to be the diamond. Because you see, how were diamonds actually created? Pressure, heat, cut. They're formed by pressure, immense amount of pressure from the carbon in the soil in order to create the diamond object. And then they are cranked up to 1,000,000 degrees Celsius in order to heat them up, and then they are cut in order to be the perfect shape of the diamond that whoever wants the diamond to be. Now, let me explain this from an entrepreneurial perspective, is that in order to actually become a diamond, you have to go through immense pressure that you never thought you'd be able to handle before, until you feel like you're gonna give up multiple times. You have to be able to put through that pressure. And then just when you think you're on the other side of that pressure, when you think you've got the momentum, you've built it up, everything's going smooth, then you're going to get heat. Then you're going to have something else that comes out of left field. The temperature is going to raise, you're going to be putting your ass under fire, and you're going to feel like you can't even take it anymore because you're under such immense heat. And then once the heat's done, you're going to be cut, sliced, diced, chopped up in order to be formed as the unbreakable diamond that it is. Because once a diamond is formed, it's such a hard formation that the only thing that can break it is another diamond. Whereas a lot of people succumb to the pressure, the heat, the cut, where they made it through one thing and then something else comes up and they falter and they waver. You really need to understand that if you want to become a diamond, you have to go through immense pressure as well as heat and being cut that other people would not make it. That's why it's not a cheap stone. That's why not everybody can afford it. And that's why not everybody can be a 7-figure entrepreneur, because they can't make it through that pressure. And you're thinking that you are just naturally this diamond in the rough because you've got this mindset that you want to be making 7 figures a year and that you put in so much work, but you have to prepare yourself to get put through the absolute ringer. And that's going to be the only way that you're going to eventually form into the diamond that will never be broken again. So those are the 4 principles that really hit home to me along this journey, allowing me to now get to the point where I make multiple 7 figures a year. And I want you to let those sink in and see how you can apply them to your own life. If you have any other questions, drop a comment below, because I do respond to 100% of the comments in my video, and I'm so grateful for you tuning in. So thanks so much as always. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next time.